What's up, everybody? I'm still watching the debate. Let me just mute this. He's going off. I think they're both doing well. I can't play the audio from the debate. I'm just listening to it. You guys can hear me though, right? Yeah. One second. I'll answer questions. I'm just listening to the debate. It's wrapping up. I think WALZ's policies are objectively better and he's much more relatable, but Vance is a more skilled debater. He's like a debate bro. 3 minutes left in the debate, and then we'll do our post-debate game or overview. The debate ends in 2 minutes, y'all. Then I'll do my commentary. I'm just listening to it for a few more minutes. How am I feeling about this? I think it has no effect whatsoever. I think that WALZ did well. Vance did well. I told you guys not to underestimate WALZ, and he's a slick talker. I mean Vance, and he's a slick talker. But WALZ really caught his stride near the end. Everything Vance said was a lie. I'll talk about it after. We'll watch clips too. Here we go. Yep. This is a good question. Slippery. Lifelong leaders? Yep. Yep. This is great. This is great. Come on. After kicking and screaming. Nope. Boom. He won't answer. He won't answer. He just got him. I know the sound is off. I just had it playing because I was finishing the debate. I want to really quickly play this part. This might be the best part of the debate. I want... Fuck. 1 second. Yeah, I can't play the sound, but I'm about to play it right here. 1 second. Let me just fix it. Now it should be playing.
Now, the thing I'm most concerned about is
cool.
I'd win. That's what was at stake here.
All right, I'm going to try to record this video in one take. I want you to watch the moment that Tim Walz presses J.D. Vance over whether or not Donald Trump won the 2020 election, and J.D. Vance gives a non-answer. Now, this whole segment is incredible. Let's watch it.
Now, the thing I'm most concerned about is the idea that imprisoning your political opponents, already laying the groundwork for people not accepting this. And a president's words matter. A president's words matter. People hear that. So I think this issue of settling our differences at the ballot box, shaking hands when we lose, being honest about it, but to deny what happened on January 6th, the first time in American history that a president or anyone tried to overturn a fair election and the peaceful transfer of power. And here we are 4 years later in the same boat. I will tell you this, that when this is over, we need to shake hands this election, and the winner needs to be the winner. This has got to stop. It's tearing our country apart.
Yep.
Margaret? Senator Vance, did you want to respond to that?
Yeah, well, look, Tim, first of all, it's really rich for Democratic leaders to say that Donald Trump is a unique threat to democracy when he peacefully gave over power on January the 20th, as we have done for 250 years in this country.
That is such a slippery answer. Donald Trump went out kicking and screaming. He tried to subvert the will of the American people in 100 different ways. He came up with a theory with John Eastman that was entirely unconstitutional. We don't even have to talk about the day of January 6th. He undermined the election for months leading up to it. The idea that he went away on January 20th was not true. To this day, he says the election was stolen, and watch how Tim Walz cleverly traps him here.
We are going to shake hands after this debate and after this election. And of course, I hope that we win, and I think we're going to win. But if Tim Walz is the next vice president, he'll have my prayers, he'll have my best wishes, and he'll have my help whenever he wants it. But we have to remember that for years in this country, Democrats protested the results of elections.
No.
Hillary Clinton in 2016 said that Donald Trump had the election stolen by...
Hillary Clinton conceded the election that night. In the middle of the night, she called Donald Trump and said, "You won." Donald Trump has still not conceded the 2020 election. That is a fundamental difference.
Vladimir Putin, because the Russians bought like $500,000 worth of Facebook ads. This has been going on for a long time. And if we want to say that we need to respect the results of the election, I'm on board. But if we want to say, as Tim Walz is saying, that this is just a problem that Republicans have had, I don't buy that.
It's just it is absolutely just a problem that Republicans have had. I mean, time and time again, Donald Trump has said the election was stolen. He said that there was massive, widespread fraud. No Democrat has ever used rhetoric even close to that. No Democrat has ever said that there were ballots planted in machines in key swing states. No Democrat has ever had their entire cabinet, like Rudy Giuliani, sued after making up lies. Watch how Tim Walz traps him. Just wait for it.
Governor.
January 6th was not Facebook ads. And I think a revisionist history on this. Look, I don't understand how we got to this point. But the issue was that happened. Donald Trump can do it. And all of us say there's no place for this. It has massive repercussions. This idea that there's censorship to stop people from threatening to kill someone, threatening to do something, that's not censorship. Censorship is book banning. We've seen that. We've seen that brought up. I just think for everyone tonight, and I'm going to thank Senator Vance, I think this is the conversation they want to hear. And I think there's a lot of agreement, but this is one that we are miles apart on. This was a threat to our democracy in a way that we had not seen. And it manifested itself because of Donald Trump's inability to say. He is still saying he didn't lose the election. I would just say...
Exactly. Well said. This is the moment right here. Watch.
Did he lose the 2020 election?
Tim, I'm focused on the future. Did Kamala Harris censor Americans from speaking their mind in the wake of the 2020 COVID situation?
That is a damning non-answer.
It's a damning non-answer for you to not talk about censorship. Obviously, Donald Trump and I think that there were problems in 2020. We've talked about it. I'm happy to talk about it further. But you guys attack us for not believing in democracy. The most sacred right under the United States democracy is the First Amendment. You yourself have said there's no First Amendment right to misinformation.
If you want to talk about the Constitution, Donald Trump says he wants to terminate the Constitution. If you want to talk about the First Amendment in particular, Trump has said that people who burn the American flag should go to jail and lose their citizenship. Donald Trump has stepped all over the Constitution, and I like how they're blaming the censorship on Kamala Harris, when first they blamed it on Mark Zuckerberg, then they blamed it on Peter Thiel, now they're blaming it on, it's just insane to me.
Kamala Harris wants to use the power of government and big tech to silence people from speaking their minds. That is a threat to democracy that will long outlive this present political moment. I would like Democrats and Republicans to both reject censorship. Let's persuade one another. Let's argue about ideas, and then let's come together.
Wait a minute. When Donald Trump lost that debate to ABC, he said ABC should have their licensing stripped away. He now says that Fox News needs to rethink their licensing now that they've been showing VP Harris rallies. I mean, Trump is the one who wants to censor people at every turn.
You can't yell fire in a crowded theater. That's the test. That's the Supreme Court test.
Tim, fire in a crowded theater. You guys wanted to kick people off of Facebook for saying that toddlers shouldn't wear masks.
Senator, the governor does have the floor.
Fire in a crowded.
Kamala Harris personally hit up Mark Zuckerberg and said, kick people off Facebook. What happened was the FBI was scared that foreign entities were influencing with the election. So the FBI, a completely separate entity, under Donald Trump, his presidency, said, hey, maybe don't share this Russian disinformation that we haven't confirmed.
Theater, that is criticizing the policies of the government, which is the right of every American.
Senator, the governor does have the floor for 1 minute to respond to you.
Yeah, well, I don't run Facebook. What I do know is I see a candidate out there who refused, and now again, and this, I'm pretty shocked by this. He lost the election. This is not a debate. It's not anything anywhere other than in Donald Trump's world. Because look, when Mike Pence made that decision to certify that election, that's why Mike Pence isn't on this stage. What I'm concerned about is, where is the firewall with Donald Trump? Where is the firewall if he knows he could do anything, including taking an election, and his vice president's not going to stand to it? That's what
he made two amazing points there. Number one, he hit on the Mike Pence point, which he needed to hit on. I really wanted to hear him talk about Mike Pence. And then he also talked about the firewall, the guardrails that we constantly talk about. What happens when Donald Trump only appoints loyalists all around him? What happens when he doesn't have Mike Pence's or Bill Barr's or Mark Meadows, which I don't like any of those people, but they at least checked Donald Trump. He's going to replace them with Rudy Giuliani and Mike Lindell. There will be no firewalls or guardrails.
We're asking you, America, will you stand up? Will you keep your oath of office, even if the president doesn't? And I think Kamala Harris would agree. She wouldn't have picked me if she didn't think I would do that, because of course that's what we would do. So America, I think you've got a really clear choice on this election of who's going to honor that democracy and who's going to honor Donald Trump.
Governor, your time is up.
This was an interesting debate. Now, a lot of people are asking me what I thought, and here are some broad thoughts. I think they both performed well. And look, I told you guys before the debate, don't underestimate J.D. Vance. I mean, he can speak, he's slick, he knows how to slither his way out of answers, and yes, he was lying and he was dishonest, but debating is a very unique skill, and I think that I think that J.D. Vance is a decent debater. I think Tim Walz is more likable and affable, but he wasn't really going for the jugular. And I like that. They had a lot of moments where they agreed, but also debating doesn't reflect on your leadership. And Tim Walz showed all of the qualities of a good leader throughout this debate. J.D. Vance lied a lot. Those aren't the qualities of a good leader. So when I'm looking for leadership on stage, I see Tim Walz as a leader. I see J.D. Vance as a good orator, a good snake salesman like Vivek Ramaswamy, but a good leader, I'm not quite sure. He's also inexperienced, and yeah. What do you guys think? Let me know what you think in chat.
Thank you, gentlemen. We will be right back with both of our candidates.
Told us, and as Maya Angelou said, believe him when he told you that. His first inaugural address talked about American carnage, and then he spent 4 years trying to maybe do that. Senator Vance tonight made it clear he will stand with Donald Trump's agenda. He will continue to push down that road. Excuse me. Kamala Harris gives us a different option. Now, I'll have to tell you, I'm going to be careful about the quotes, but there's one that Senator Vance said that does resonate with me. He said, Donald Trump makes the people I care about afraid. A lot of America feels that way. We don't need to be afraid. Franklin Roosevelt was right. All we have to fear is fear itself. Kamala Harris is bringing us a new way forward. She's bringing us a politics of joy. She's bringing
Give me 1 second here. Just exporting a new video. You really enjoyed watching this? You guys like the debate? We have a lot of fact checks to get to in our post-debate. Thank you everyone for being here. We have a lot of fact checks to get to. Let's see. Fact check. Let me center this. Give me 1 second here. You guys enjoyed it? You enjoyed it? Tim kicked ass. It was respectful. I said don't underestimate Tim Wall or don't underestimate JD Vance. And I think JD Vance lied a ton, but he's slick. He's slippery. Give me 1 second here.
The question got asked, and Donald Trump made the accusation that wasn't true about that.
1 second.
Sure, because guess what happens? Look, this issue, and when Donald Trump said, I've got a concept of a plan, it cracked me up as a fourth grade teacher because my kids would have never given me that. But what Senator Vance just explained might be worse than a concept, because what he explained is pre-Obamacare. And I'll make this as simple as possible because I have done this for a long time. What they're saying is, if you're healthy, why should you be paying more? So what they're going to do is let insurance companies pick who they insure, because guess what happens? You pay your premium, it's not much. They figure they're not going to have to pay out to you. But those of you a little older, gray, got cancer, you're going to get kicked out of it. That's why the system didn't work. Kamala Harris will protect and enhance the ACA. But look, this issue, and when Donald Trump said, I've got a concept of a plan, it cracked me. You had to travel. The question got asked, and Donald Trump made the accusation that wasn't true about Minnesota. Well, let me tell you about this idea that there's diverse states. There's a young woman named Amber Thurman. She happened to be in Georgia, a restrictive state. Because of that, she had to travel a long distance to North Carolina to try and get her care.
Yep.
Amber Thurman died in that journey back and forth. The fact of the matter is, how can we as a nation say that your life and your rights, as basic as the right to control your own body, is determined on geography? There's a very real chance, had Amber Thurman lived in Minnesota, she would be alive today. The question got asked, and Donald.
Amazing. So good. Sorry, give me 1 second here. I'm just knocking out some work while this is wrapping up.
Governor?
All right, here's where being an old guy gives you some history. I was there at the creation of the ACA. And the reason it was so important is I come from a major healthcare state, home of the Mayo Clinic, home to Medical Alley, 3M, Medtronic, all of those. We understand healthcare. It's why we're ranked first on affordability and accessibility and quality of healthcare. And so what I know is, under Kamala Harris, more people are covered than they have before. And those of you listening, this is critical to you. Now, Donald Trump all of a sudden wants to go back and remember this. He ran on the first thing he was going to do on day one was to repeal Obamacare. On day one, he tried to sign an executive order to repeal the ACA. He signed on to a lawsuit to repeal the ACA, but lost at the Supreme Court. And he would have repealed the ACA had it not been for the courage of John McCain to save that bill. Now, fast forward, what that means to you is you lose your pre-existing conditions. If you're sitting at home and you got asthma, too bad. If you're a woman, probably not. Broke your foot during football, might kick you out. Your kids get kicked out when they're 26. Kamala Harris negotiated drug prices for the first time with Medicare.
How is everybody feeling today? Sorry, I'm just finishing up this thumbnail and this video I was posting about the debate. It's some good stuff. Yeah, it was a really civil debate. That's a good point. I'll read off some of your chats. Let me know how you feel. Sorry for being quiet for a few minutes there. I was wrapping up some work. The race is closer than ever. It is close, but not because of the debate. It was already pretty close. Vance is a liar, backing up a bigger liar. That is true. But I do think he was slick during the debate. He did well. Excited to have a night off from work. Congrats. Hell yeah. Good night to have off. Very good VP debate. Yeah. Someone said it feels 50-50. The debate as a whole is 50-50, yeah. By the end of the debate, I decided on Vance's routine being comedy. Yeah. Tim was strong with facts. Tim was too nice. Sane washing of Trump. Tim is very nice. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm going to be honest. Tim is not... Debate is a skill. Some people have the skill of debate. And I think Vance is a good debater. And the skill of the debate doesn't reflect on your leadership. But I don't think Tim Walz has that like fierce... go for the jugular debate instinct. And there's nothing wrong with that. He's still a better leader, and he lied less. Tim was too nice. Yeah, that's fair. Tim was too nice. Walz won 60-40. Yeah, Vance didn't even answer a single question. That's fair. After debate commentary was interesting. Yep, I'll do more. Sorry, I'm just getting this video posted up. I want you to watch. Just posted a video now of one of the best moments of the debate. Watch it till the end if you click on it. Walz lost by a small... I wouldn't say he lost. I don't think it really matters. Fact check Vance. Yeah, we have a lot of fact checks to get to. So when it comes to the border czar, Vance said, Harris, quote, became the appointed border czar. False. Harris was not asked to be the administration's border czar or to oversee immigration policy and enforcement at the U.S.-Mexico border. That has mainly been the responsibility of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas and his department, which oversees the country's main 3 immigration agencies, including Customs and Border Protection. That is very, very true. Yeah, Walz did not lose. They seem to agree on some stuff. Yeah, it was a civil debate. I think JD Vance is a better... I think JD Vance is a more skilled debater, but Tim Walz came off as likable. That's what I'd say. And JD Vance lied a lot. JD Vance lied much more. Here's what, okay, so my uncle texted me, I didn't watch the debate, how did Walz do? I said, he did great, but Vance did well too. I mean, he lied a lot, but Vance was articulate, and everyone seems to agree he was smooth. I think that is basically the outcome, or like what I've seen everybody agree on. I've seen people say, you know, Vance was smooth, surprisingly smooth, but he lied so much. And also, he dodged a lot of questions. The January 6th segment was probably the best thing ever. Yeah, happy 100th birthday, Jimmy Carter. I think the January 6th segment was absolutely great. I just posted a video on it because, man, that segment was so good. Yeah, they did fact check him. I loved when Tim Walz basically pinned him down. Let me go back.
On the issues and what changed. Now, you pointed out the messages from...
Freedom really means something. Not the freedom of government to be in your bedroom or exam room, but the freedom for you to make choices about yourself. Now, look, we all know who Donald Trump is. He's told us, and as Maya Angelou said, believe him when he told you that. His first inaugural address talked about American carnage, and then he spent 4 years trying to maybe do that. Senator Vance tonight made it clear he will stand with Donald Trump's agenda. He will continue to push down that road. Excuse me. Kamala Harris gives us a different option. Now, I'll have to tell you, I'm going to be careful about the quotes, but there's one that Senator Vance said that does resonate with me. He said, Donald Trump makes the people I care about afraid. A lot of America feels that way.
Happy birthday. Thank you. It's my birthday in 2 hours. 2 hours, which is wild. You know where I like to go is this Reddit for 538 where they talk about polls. Let's see. And we can go to the 538 model. Thank you, thank you. Soon, in a few hours. Damn. Cook Political Report moves Texas Senate from likely R to lean Republican. Who won the debate? I'm not sure. I'll poll the chat. Thank you, Miss Koala, for becoming a member. We have this new membership program. I'm not going to say who won the debate. I'm going to say who had better optics. Read this prompt. Removing bias, who had better optics? Who came off optically better? Not who won, because I think Tim Walz won, because I love Tim Walz. Who optically came off better? Tim Walz. And if you think JD Vance like slick talked his way through, that's fine to vote that. Or if you think JD Vance, I think JD Vance did a decent job. I think Tim Walz did better because he was far more relatable, even if he's not some debate bro lawyer who's able to pick apart every single point. Vance comes off as a slimy, sleek snake oil salesman. That's a lot of S's. That's great. And Walz comes off as a good and honest man. JD had slick talk. Yep. But I mean, I'm sure it came off to people. You know, if you're a Republican and you're just itching to hear Republicans say, like a year ago, all I wanted was a fierce Democrat to go on the news and advocate for democratic values. And now we have Buttigieg, Shapiro, who were there before. But I'm sure there are some Republicans who probably enjoyed hearing their platform from someone who was more articulate than Trump, you know? The MAGA platform. Jessica Taylor, Cook Political Report. Texas Senate moves from likely to lean Republican. Let's go. Thank you, Sign for Sister. Or Sing One for Sister. Thank you so much. Oh no, y'all. This model is close. But yeah, let's do some pre-debate analysis, or post-debate, sorry. What I wrote down is they're both performing well because neither of them are being performative. That was my main takeaway. Neither are being overly performative on camera, so they both did okay. When Trump is on stage, he is being a performative freak. I said, going into this, I said repeatedly, don't underestimate JD Vance. People on Twitter said that he would be nervous, but JD Vance came off as articulate. I think he was articulate despite the amount of times that he lied. Walz started off as slightly nervous, but he really hit his stride. Like 2 questions in, Walz was killing it. He was ripping it, and we'll watch some clips in 1 second. Vance said he never supported a national abortion ban. We know he said the opposite of that a few years back for a fact.
Pence, I hope you're going to stand up for.
When Mike Pence made that decision to certify that election, that's why Mike Pence isn't on this stage.
Yep.
What I'm concerned about is, where is the firewall with Donald Trump? Where is the firewall if he knows he could do anything, including taking an election, and his vice president's not going to stand to it? That's what we're asking you, America. Will you stand up? Will you keep your oath of office, even if the president doesn't? And I think Kamala Harris would agree. She wouldn't have picked me if she didn't think I would do that, because of course that's what we would do. So, America, I think you've got a really clear choice on this election of who's going to honor that democracy and who's going to honor Donald Trump. Because look, when Mike...
He is spitting. This is some good stuff. Walz got better as the debate went on. I absolutely agree.
Mike Pence, I hope you're going to stand up for the good of our Constitution and for the good of our country. And if you're not, I'm going to be very disappointed in you. I will tell you right now.
I'm telling you what, I'm hearing the Pence just caved.
No.
Is that true? I'm hearing reports that Pence caved. I'm telling you, if Pence caved, we're gonna drag through the streets.
What the hell?
You politicians are gonna get drugged through the streets.
I guess the hope is that there's such a show of force here that Pence will decide to do the right thing, according to Trump.
These people are absolutely insane. Deplorable is too nice of a word.
This was not Facebook ads. And I think a revisionist history on this. Look, I don't understand how we got to this point. But the issue was that happened. Donald Trump can do it. And all of us say there's no place for this. It has massive repercussions. This idea that there's censorship to stop people from threatening to kill someone, threatening to do something, that's not censorship. Censorship is book banning. We've seen that. We've seen that brought up. I just think for everyone tonight, and I'm going to thank Senator Vance, I think this is the conversation they want to hear. And I think there's a lot of agreement, but this is one that we are miles apart on. This was a threat to our democracy in a way that we had not seen. And it manifested itself because of Donald Trump's inability to say. He is still saying he didn't lose the election. I would just ask that. Did he lose the 2020 election?
I love right there, J.D. Vance pivots. And the clip cuts off, but Lord have mercy. That was a solid debate. I did enjoy it. It was more substantive than both of the presidential debates, which is interesting because there was a VP debate. I do think that they both did a decent job. One lied much more than the other. WALZ showed all of the qualities that we look for in a leader on a day-to-day basis. And like I said, debating is not really an important skill. Once you get into office, you don't have to be some skilled debater. You just have to be a leader who can tie together a cohesive cabinet, who has a vision to push the country forward, and who cares about the American people. And we can say all of those things about Tim Walz and Kamala Harris. We can't say any of those things about J.D. Vance and Donald Trump. They don't have a cohesive vision. They aren't good leaders. So who did you see that was the leader on stage? Clearly, Tim Walz. Thank you, legend of society. Sorry, I was checked out there for a second trying to get this video.
This one is troubling to me, and I say that because I think we need to tell the story. Donald Trump refused to acknowledge this. And the fact is that I don't think we can be the frog in the pot and let the boiling water go up. He was very clear. I mean, he lost this election, and he said he didn't. 140 police officers were beaten at the Capitol that day, some with the American flag, several later died. And it wasn't just in there. In Minnesota, a group gathered on the state capitol grounds in St. Paul and said, we're marching to the governor's residence and there may be casualties. The only person there was my son and his dog, who was rushed out crying by state police. That issue, and Mike Pence standing there as they were chanting, hang Mike Pence. Mike Pence made the right decision. So, Senator, it was adjudicated over and over and over.
Why is he smiling? Also, I don't know if we talked about this yet, but Donald Trump was melting down on Truth Social throughout all of this. There's some funny stuff here. Someone said you're very distracted. Yeah, I was doing some work real quick. I needed to finish them up. I was too busy watching the debate. So this is what I found hilarious. Read these tweets. Or these truths. Let me find this. Where does it start? Donald Trump said, okay, let's go at 8:02 p.m. Okay, let's go. We're getting ready to go at 8:02. And then at 8:03, or no, at 8:02, the same time, Trump says both young ladies have been extremely biased anchors. How did he know that within 1 minute? 1 second. Let me tweet this out because that is hilarious. Literally the exact same timestamp. You can't even make this stuff up, folks. That is funny as hell. You guys think WALZ won? JD Vance got cooked? There were some really good moments there. I love when WALZ trapped Vance. Right here. I want you to watch the moment that Tim Walz presses JD Vance over whether or not Donald Trump won the 20... I like how we're watching my own video, but watch this moment right here. It's like right about here. Lose their citizen.
Donald Trump's inability to say. He is still saying he didn't lose the election. I would just say...
Exactly. Well said.
Yes, that's the Supreme Court test.
Tim, fire in a crowded theater. You guys wanted to kick people off of Facebook for saying that toddlers shouldn't wear masks.
Senator, the governor does have the floor.
Fire in a crowded...
Kamala, there's a really perfect moment in there that I can't find because Kamala HQ clipped it off. Right here, let me find this. Let's see some of this post.
And then I think at the very end of the debate, we saw something extraordinary. Tim Walz asked J.D. Vance if Donald Trump lost the election. He was incapable of answering that simple yes-no question.
Yep.
J.D. Vance can only get so far from the man at the top of the ticket, and that was on display in that one moment. And then
really good stuff. Oh, Walz's full closing statement.
Thank you, Senator Vance. Thank you to CBS News. And most importantly, thank you to all of you. If you're still up and the folks who miss Dancing with Our Stars, I appreciate it. But look, the support of the democracy matters. It matters that you're here. And I'm as surprised as anybody of this coalition that Kamala Harris has built, from Bernie Sanders to Dick Cheney to Taylor Swift, and a whole bunch of folks in between there. And they don't all agree on everything, but they are truly optimistic people. They believe in a positive future of this country and one where our politics can be better than it is. And I have to tell you, that better than it is the sense of optimism that there can be an opportunity economy that works for everyone, not just to get by, but to get ahead. And the idea that freedom really means something. Not the freedom of government to be in your bedroom or exam room, but the freedom for you to make choices about yourself. Now, look, we all know who Donald Trump is. He's told us, and as Maya Angelou said, believe him when he told you that. His first inaugural address talked about American carnage, and then he spent 4 years trying to maybe do that. Senator Vance tonight made it clear he will stand with Donald Trump's agenda. He will continue to push down that road. Excuse me. Kamala Harris gives us a different option. Now, I'll have to tell you, I'm going to be careful about the quotes, but there's one that Senator Vance said that does resonate with me. He said, Donald Trump makes the people I care about afraid. A lot of America feels that way. We don't need to be afraid. Franklin Roosevelt was right. All we have to fear is fear itself.
Someone said, what were the best sound bites? We played a few of them, but let's see what's gone viral on TikTok so far in this ecosystem.
Donald Trump actually delivered stability in the world, and he did it by establishing effective deterrence. People were afraid of stepping out of line.
Donald Trump was in office. We'll sometimes hear a revisionist history, but when Donald Trump was in office, it was Donald Trump who we had a coalition of nations that had boxed Iran's nuclear program in, the inability to advance it. Donald Trump pulled that program and put nothing else in its place. So Iran...
Tim Walz did kill it. Thank you, Sing One for Sister. Tim Walz is great. Let's see.
I'm worried about Coach Walz because he's going up against Kamala.
Oh, this was 11 hours ago. That was some really... That was a great debate. Let's go through the fact checks, and let's see what happened here. Fact check. Walz on opioid deaths. Partially true. Walz claims, quote, the last 12 months saw the largest decrease in opioid deaths in our nation's history. Walz, quote, this is a crisis, the opioid crisis. The good news is, in the last 12 months, we saw the largest decrease. The details, opioid deaths have fallen to the lowest level in 3 years. Down 7%. Down 18%. So he was slightly wrong on the numbers. It says partially true. I mean, I'd say it's pretty true. This is completely false. The idea that Kamala Harris was appointed as the border czar. JD Vance had the better debate. I think JD Vance has the skill of being a debater. I think Tim Walz has the skill of being more likable. And I think Tim Walz's qualities reflected better leadership. But JD Vance is a slick debater. Details. Harris was not asked to be the administration's border czar or to oversee immigration policy and enforcement at the U.S.-Mexico border. This has mainly been the responsibility of Alejandro Mayorkas, and President Biden has tasked Harris with leading the administration's diplomatic campaign to address the root causes of migration from Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador, including poverty, corruption, and violence. Vance was asked how a Trump-Vance administration would pay for their plans, given that Trump's economic proposals are expected to grow the deficit. Vance said, some of what Harris proposes, quote, even sounds pretty good. But Vance said she's already had the opportunity to enact those policies. He doesn't even understand the role of the vice president, the role that he's running for. But he did say, some of these policies even sound pretty good. But Vance said she's already had the opportunity, and according to Vance, drove the cost of food higher. If Kamala Harris has such great plans, then she ought to do them now. She doesn't have the ability to either veto bills or sign bills that Congress passes. Vance has a far better ability to lie. Yeah, that's a good way to say it. WALZ brought up Vance's remarks about Haitians in Springfield, Ohio. WALZ was the first to mention Springfield, Ohio, in reference to Trump and Vance spreading false claims about Haitian immigrants eating pets. Quote, this is what happens when you don't want to solve it, WALZ said when talking about immigration. You demonize it. And we saw this, Senator Vance, and it surprised me on this, talking about and saying, I will create stories to bring attention to this. That vilified a large number of people who worked legally in the community of Springfield. Absolutely true and well said from Tim Walz. Vance began his closing statement by thanking Walz and viewers. The senator from Ohio said, key needs like heat, housing, and foods have become harder to afford because of Harris's policies. Vance said he believes that the U.S. is a rich and prosperous enough country that people should be able to turn on the heat at night, provide a meal for their families, and buy a home. See, that is decent rhetoric. That is the type of rhetoric that people should be using. Yeah, there was obviously a much more polished version of J.D. Vance that we saw tonight. Donald Trump is still going off on Truth Social. He said, great job, JD. We will make America great again. He said, why aren't the after shows talking about the fact that WALZ said, I'm friends with school shooters? He said, JD crushed it. WALZ is a low IQ disaster, very much like Kamala. Way to not be divisive, man. He said, our country would never be able to recover from an administration of these two. Can you imagine them representing us with sharp, fierce foreign leaders? I mean, Trump isn't the sharpest himself. Vance is not authentic. Yeah, great way of putting it. Lord have mercy. The last person I want to hear from is Elon Musk. He said, could not be more clear that Trump will veto a national abortion ban. Could it? Could it not? Could it be more clear? I don't know. He has said it before many times, but this is a simple statement and makes his opposition absolutely obvious and unequivocal. Couldn't he not even say that during the debate? Wasn't he saying that him and J.D. Vance have never even talked about it? God, Musk is the absolute worst.
Not true, but I will say about this, about the fentanyl, because this is a crisis of this, the opioid crisis. And the good news on this is the last 12 months saw the largest decrease in opioid deaths in our nation's history, 30 in Ohio. But there's still more work to do. But let's go back to this on immigration. Kamala Harris was the Attorney General of the largest state and a border state in California. She's the only person in this race who prosecuted transnational gangs for human trafficking and drug interventions. But look, we all want to solve this. Most of us want to solve this. And that is the United States Congress. That's the Border Patrol agents. That's the Chamber of Commerce. That's most Americans out here. That's why we had the fairest and the toughest bill on immigration that this nation's seen. It was crafted by a conservative senator from Oklahoma, James Lankford. I know him. He's super conservative, but he's a man of principle, wants to get it done. Democrats and Republicans worked on this piece of legislation.
Well said from Tim Walz there. And just to zoom out for 1 second, as we have 35 days or so to go until the election, I am honestly mind-boggled when I wake up some days, and I know that you guys feel this too, that the election is even this close. I mean, I take a look at the two candidates, I take a look at what both of them say on a day-to-day basis, what Donald Trump says and what Kamala Harris says, and it just absolutely blows my mind that the race looks like this. Harris wins 55 times out of 100. Trump wins 45 times out of 100. Even when you look at the national polling, Harris up 4, Harris up 5, Harris up 5. I mean, she's clearly going to win the popular vote. But the problem is, in these swing states, I mean, we saw a video yesterday that white working class voters, I think it was without college degrees, in these swing states, just don't like Kamala Harris. And it could be for a number of reasons. It could be because they have trouble voting for a black woman, a Democrat. There could be many reasons, but it sucks that the race is this close due to people's ingrained feelings. I do wake up some days mind-boggled that the race is this close, And I honestly think Trump has a decent chance. I think that there is definitely a reality where on election night, we see that Trump ekes out a win in Pennsylvania. I mean, this is essentially a coin flip, folks. 55 times, 45 times. That is one polling error off from Trump eking out a win in Pennsylvania just due to ingrained racism or misogyny in people. And think about it like this. Kamala Harris has had 100 days to boost her campaign. Trump has been campaigning in America for almost 10 years now. He started campaigning in 2015. And yeah, so it makes me worried. The popular vote should be much better. Yeah. Someone said, I agree with Adam. It is absolutely mind-boggling to anyone who has the facts, how the cult... Yeah, the race is close and it's mind-boggling. Sometimes it just blows my mind. Like, every time Trump says this stuff, I think the polls are closer than the outcome, and that could be true. That's what James Carville said as well. We could be worried about nothing. That is definitely fair. What does that tell you about the state of our country? Yeah, it's not good. But I hope you guys enjoyed our coverage today. We try to provide unique coverage for every event, every debate. The DNC was the best. We're going to be doing some more Trump debates soon. And on a live stream, we're going to be debating bigger and bigger figures. I want to ask you guys, before we go, what do you guys want to see post-election? Say that Kamala Harris sweeps, which I'm hoping. I have my fingers crossed. Do you guys want to see more debates, daily live streams, daily segments covering MAGA and Fox News in the world of that? Or healing democracy? Please vote blue. Thank you, Laura. Happy birthday once again. Thank you. What kind of content do you guys? That's what I've been curious about. Segments, you got to be a little more specific than that. What kind of segments? Debate segments? Or man on the street stuff? Trump get locked up? We're going to cover all the legal stuff. Debunk the lies. Yeah, that could be a good mission. To fix the informational landscape, we have to debunk a bunch of lies. MAGA segments and healing democracy. I like that. Using debates, using MAGA segments, all of these to show how we can heal America and democracy. What am I doing for my birthday? Probably going to work a lot and then chill with my family at the end of the day. I'm going to have some family visit. Going to make them watch a movie, and we'll probably go out to eat or something. Man on the street stuff. I feel like my interview stuff is the best. Interviews and man on the streets, debunking lies. I feel like one of my skills too is talking to people one-on-one and being able to move them to my position. So maybe I need to go out and just start turning people into liberals. A series called Converting People to Liberals, or a Change My Mind series on conservative college campuses. That'd be pretty sick. This turned into a brainstorming session real fast. Focus on Gen Z members of Congress. Absolutely. Maxwell Frost is awesome. Debunking doesn't listen if people won't, or debunking doesn't help if people won't listen. Well, if I'm talking to them face to face, yeah. Why do people keep saying you need to relax? I'm hyped after the live stream or after the debate. Deprogramming MAGA. Yep, I love that idea. Changing Mind series. Thank you, AC. I appreciate that. Yeah, face to face. After the election, forget Trump. Yeah, of course that is tempting, but you have to realize he's going to be going through some of the most interesting legal trials. So, of course, as somebody who covers politics, I'm going to be covering Trump being in court for subverting our democracy. I mean, that's going to be great to cover. Interview Kamala. That'd be awesome. Do some segments with Jack. Yep, we're going to do that. Going on the street. I think we're going to do more of the on the street stuff. Absolutely. Well, I'll catch you guys tomorrow. I'll see you guys tomorrow, bright and early. You know I'm posting videos every morning. Thank you guys for being here. I love everyone who stuck with me. You guys are the best.